Hey you guys, I'm Carl Butler.
And I'm Ebony Butler.
And this is
The Loveless Marriage. Hi guys, we missed y'all. I missed you guys. I'm sorry.
No, she didn't.
Okay.
She don't love y'all.
I do love y'all.
She left y'all for 10 months. She wasn't doing nothing.
Let me put this small disclosure for all of you that know. I was pregnant with my fifth child. 39 and pregnant. I work an hour and 20 minutes from our home. So back and forth each day is 2 hours and 40 minutes. And by the time I get home by 7:30, almost 8 o'clock sometimes, I am dead tired. I don't even want to eat sometimes.
You know what I hear? Here's excuses.
Here's excuses. So I needed just a small little break. I love doing Loveless Marriage. I love interacting with you guys, laughing and reading you guys' comments. But being 39 and pregnant and being a mother before and being newly married, it's a little different. This last fifth time around. So, but I'm glad to be back. I missed y'all. We would get text messages like, when you guys coming back? Are y'all going to come back on? And just for our journey with our pregnancy and just the job and working, I needed a little break. And we had little small hiccups along the way. Not the major, but small hiccups. But we're going to talk to you about those little hiccups and hopefully encourage and increase someone's faith from second marriage and starting all over again to now a baby. And we are we're going into being 2 years into even being married. So that's a lot.
Yes. And as you all can see, I know we've been away for a while, but I have grown the dopest beard.
I hate his beard. I hate this. I hate this. He's shaving it in the summertime. Oh, bless his name.
It's going to be down here.
Yes, it is. It's going to be.
Sometimes it's going to be like this. It's going to be like a beehive. My beard will be just like this.
That's nasty. He's shaving it, a.k.a. come June, it will be gone.
Anyway, what are we talking about today?
Hi, y'all. Today we are talking about, in honor of Michelle Obama, we're talking about becoming baby Zion's mom and dad.
Becoming Zion.
Yes, becoming Zion's mom and dad. So we have a little story that goes along with her birth. So, and yet to talk to couples too that are starting all over and getting married and the possibility about having a second set of children. That's a different world, a different life. And we were going to talk about becoming the baby Zion and having the hard talk before you get married with your significant other. Do you really want to do this again?
Yeah, I think that's probably the number one talk, especially, the older you get, and you embark on a... Now listen, we may not appeal to those of y'all who are 18, 19, about to get married. I mean, we have advice for you, but we may not appeal to you. So this conversation is probably more for those who are mid-30s, upper 30s, early 40s. And you think about getting married again, you've never had kids. Okay. And so one of the most important conversations you need to have with your potential spouse is, do you want to have kids? Right. Now listen, trust their answer. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, can I look dead? Like, trust their answer. Trust me. Because if they say they don't want to have kids or if they've already had kids and they don't plan on having any more, you're probably not going to change their mind later in life. I see if y'all was in your 20s but yeah. Mm-hmm. So trust their answer. Number one, have honest conversations about, do you even want to have kids? Because they could be getting ready to plan to have grandkids. No, they're done. They're not waking up every 3 hours to feed a baby and to change the baby, and And I'll
say this too, with us starting all over. A little bit of our backdrop for those of you who are just joining the Loveless Marriage. That's Carl. I'm Ebony. But for my part of the shut up, I can say it again. For my part of the journey, before of course I married Carl, I was married, and from my first marriage, I had 4 daughters already. So as of today, my oldest daughter is 18 years old, a freshman in college. I have a 17-year-old daughter who is a budding senior about to walk into she's a junior about to walk through the senior doors. And I have a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old. So for me, some of my friends and people that I know of was like, girl, you crazy. But during my previous marriage, I was scheduled to actually go in to get my tubes tied when I found out I was pregnant with my now 7-year-old. So I never went back to get my tubes tied. And then once I got divorced, I just kind of made my own personal vow to myself. I have my own personal thought of, if I said, God, if I ever were to get married again, I would at least let the man, if he's never had any children, I would at least give him one. Or if he wanted to have one with our union being together, I would honor him in that. Now, I will say this, that's not everybody. And there has been some few articles I saw. I think one of the girls on The View, her relationship ended because she didn't want any kids, or one of the parties didn't want a kid, and they ended up splitting up through the divorce. The man actually remarried because I think he wanted to have kids. His girlfriend ended up getting pregnant. She was heartbroken. Like Carla said, if someone tells you that no, I don't want kids, believe them. Some people could say, you know what, I may not physically want to birth kids, because there are some women out here, God bless them, to have these banging bodies, and they're not willing to sacrifice, because it is a sacrifice of going through the whole 9-10 months of pregnancy. And they say, you know what, I might not physically have one for you, but I'll adopt it, do it surrogate. Okay, amen, if God's blessed you like that. Some of us aren't that rich.
And also, this, just to interject, that's the reason, that's one of the definitions of why we do the loveless marriage, because just like the young lady on The View, you know, she went into it thinking, I'm going to change him. He probably said, I'm going to change her. Right. And they were just so in love with each other. You know, we love each other, so everything else will work out. Right. Listen, everything else will not just work out just because you have a fondness for it. It's not even love yet. You know, love is built over time. Just because you have a fondness for a person, or, you know, a lot of mutual interest or whatever. Or let's just say you love them. Let's say love at first sight, if you believe in that concept. Yeah. But, you know, love doesn't change people's mind. I'm sorry. Just, you have to go into this with the understanding that you want what I want what you want. We have a fondness for each other. Let's do it. Let's spend the rest of our life together. And so you have to set love aside and make rational decisions about who you're marrying.
I'll say this. He said love won't change people's mind. Within, I guess, how we're using the play on love, because I don't want to get no inboxes about love and all that kind of stuff. The context of what we're meaning. You know, love is patient, love is kind, love is all of those wonderful things.
Love is patient, love is kind, love won't change that little mind.
That's something I would say. But I say this within the context. If someone is very passionate about why they don't want children or different things like that, and then also keep in mind too, with that, I hate to sound, I guess with us, Carla and I, keep it real, you also need to know your partner's history too. Yeah. There may have been something sexually that they went through as a child. They may have been molested. Mm-hmm. They may have contracted along their journey some STDs along the way, which prohibit them. They may have even acquired, you know, as a woman, she may have an illness, a sickness, or a disease which prohibits her from having children. So that's another episode, but that's something that you need to talk about and let your partner know up front. I think that's the worst disservice that you could do to somebody that you say you want to spend the rest of your life with, and not disclose pertinent information that they need to know. Yeah. You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to them as a person, for them to make their own informed decision about further relationship with you if you do have some issues. Even with the man, I mean, I'm speaking from a woman because I can only attest to woman issues. But even if you're a man and you've been married before, and you might have issues medically, you know, you may have been married before, and you know that you have a low sperm count. You know that you have a deficit. You know you might have a health condition which prohibits certain things. You need to tell your spouse that. Mm-hmm. That is or soon to be spouse, or I think that's a deal. To me, that's a deal breaker. That is a deal breaker.
We even had this conversation about, whether or not she wanted to have kids or not, because, like she said, she had already had 4 daughters from a previous marriage.
Yeah.
And so, to be honest, it would have been kind of unfair for me to try to push her to have more kids, and she didn't want to. She said she's done her part to replenish the earth.
Thank you very much.
Like she's had kids, so and that was a decision I had to make, because if we would have had a conversation and she would have said I didn't want kids, then I don't know if we would have still got married. And that's just the truth. So many people are so afraid to speak the truth.
Right.
But then 5-10 years go by and you're unhappy, then you cheat with somebody and they get pregnant. Now that creates a whole another set of issues, just like the lady from The View. And it's just be honest, and when they're honest with you, be willing to accept their honesty.
Right.
Never try to change somebody's mind.
Right.
I'm not saying people's mind don't change. I'm not saying that, but you don't want to go into a lifetime commitment hoping that somebody's going to change their mind when they've spoken their mind to you. And so if you're not, and then it works on the other way too, because there are some women who are older in life, and the man said, "Do you want to have kids?" And they say yes, but they know they don't plan on having no kids.
Right.
They said just so he will marry them, and so don't do that either.
Don't do that.
I mean,
that's foolish.
You have to, because people tell you what they want coming into it.
Right.
So you have to respect what that person wants, because that's how people get hurt. Like that's how. And I'm not talking about emotionally hurt. I mean emotionally hurt and
physically hurt.
Like that's how people get hurt, because you waste someone's time. Right. People, they start doing the math. I married you when I was 19. You knew you could have kids. Now I'm 31. Like, I don't waste the best years of my life. Like, it gets serious.
Right.
And, time is something you cannot get back. So, when me and Edna had that conversation, if in our dating process, if she'd have said, I don't want any more kids, well, I've never had a child. My parents never had a grandchild. That's something I would have had to consider. I mean, that's something I would have seriously had to consider. Did I love her, as we say? We'll just use the word. Did I love? Of course I did. Of course I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. But that's pretty important.
That's important.
Yeah.
And I'll say this before we get into our story. I remember last year at Thanksgiving, not 2018, but 2017. We happened to be sitting around the family table talking, and his mom asked me, we were talking about kids or something. She was like, Ebony, you would have she just said it like, Ebony, you would have another baby. And I was like, yeah, I would. And she just looked at me shocked. And I'm like, well, what's wrong? And she's like, I just didn't expect you to say that. And like I said before, before I met Carl, I already had that in my own heart, not my own mind. For me, oddly, my issue, I would say was the issue. A stronghold for me was, Lord, will somebody already accept me with already having 4 children and wanting that? So that was my battle. And that was my stronghold of even thinking, because that's the reality of it all too. When you are faced with, dating someone, starting all over again, already have children. That doesn't mean that the new guy that I'm with may want to add on additional. He may want children, but then they might be like, well, dang, she already got 4 kids, or I don't know if I want to have a child with her because, it's extra expense, extra bills. And also, I will say another thing too. Age plays a big part in it too. I just was talking to a good friend of mine, and in a great possible situation, but she's a little bit older. The gentleman is younger. She already has a child, but he wants a lot of children, and she's comfortable where she is right now. And I told her, I respect you. I respect you 5,000 times over that you guys had the talk, because that would have been very disappointing to a younger man, which Carl is younger than me. I'm thinking, okay, well, we about to knock it out. And she's like, no, I only want to just give you 1. And he might be like, no, I want 3. So have, like we say all the time on the Loveless Marriage, have the honest conversations so you can save yourself heartache, and then that person can go to be whom they choose, and then the other person can go to be with someone else that it works. Because in the overall, at the end of the day, you make a choice. And I would hate to lay next to someone knowing in the back of my mind, dang on, I want a child and this person doesn't want one with me. Yeah. That would hurt. Like I said, me making the choice. Now, if I have medical conditions and ailments that stop me, totally different. But when you can have one and you just don't want to have one, for whatever your reasons may be, and they really want one and you know it, that's conflict. You starting off with conflict already that doesn't even need to be had. Yeah. So I would say make an informed decision.
And then when you start like that, you can't really build because in the back of your mind, now you have an agenda. Like now you have an agenda of not getting to know this person, not, growing old with this person, but let me work on them. You know what I'm saying? Like
they're not a project. Yeah, they're not a case.
They're not your summer project. They're not. If you want to see something rebuilt, go watch HGTV. Right. They got shows all day long, but they tear down stuff and rebuild it.
Build them up. Right.
But yeah, somebody's life is not. It's not the path. Right. To do that, you have to, and that's what it is, man. Going into marriage, if you've never been married and divorced before. Sometimes people come in with an agenda, and sometimes it takes you years to see it. Right. But, you have to be honest. You have to be honest because dishonesty creates now this agenda that now you have to complete your task before you can proceed in the marriage. Right. And then you get years up the road, your task still isn't completed. You go around telling everybody you're not happy. Well, you're not happy because you were
dishonest,
disgenuine. You were
not truthful.
Yeah, untruthful, and that's on you. Sometimes we have to look back and accept responsibility for what we've done, right, and say it was me. I put myself in this position. I wasn't honest. I wasn't honest with myself or the other person, and so you gotta eat that sometimes. Sometimes you gotta eat that time wasted. You gotta eat that love loss. Like you gotta eat that. But, going back to being Ebony, we had this talk because, I never talked about my previous marriage or, previous relationship in a negative way. But, that was something that I had to deal with, miscarriage, And to be honest with you, when I got married the first time, I was 22 years old. And it really didn't matter to me about having kids. I even told Ebony, I said, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it's not going to make or break me. So having kids wasn't a disqualifying factor on my list. It really wasn't because I said, if I love this person, I love this person. If we have kids, cool. That's just an added bonus. But if not, it is what it is. And so it was never high on my list. But actually trying the first time, going through different processes and all that, and getting pregnant, and then in a couple of months and miscarrying, it kind of hit me. I was like, I could have dealt with it not happening at all, but when it happened and then there was a stall, I was like, okay. And then when Ebony got pregnant, it was like, okay, like when's the bottom gonna fall out? When am I gonna get that call that I'm bleeding, or when when is this gonna happen? But 1 month turned into 2, or 2 months turned into 3, 3 months turned into 4, 4 turned into 6, 6 turned into 8. And you can ask Ebony, I did not believe it. I believe she was pregnant. I mean, I can see the growing stomach. I can feel Zion kicking.
My fatness.
I could feel Zion kicking. But I didn't even buy anything for Zion. I think I bought her one pair of shoes.
One pair of shoes.
I bought her one pair of shoes that don't even fit her until she's like 3 or 6 months or something like that. But yeah, I didn't want to waste time, money, or resources in something that may not happen. And so my daughter being here, like Zion being here, is just it's a bonus. Like I get to grow old with Ebony. She.
Thank you.
I love her. She's on my nerves.
You get on my nerves too. That's why we like each other. We get on each other's nerves.
But no, I was cool with this. I get to roll with this person, and I'm good. I have 4 daughters. Some of the 4 call me dad, like genuinely dad, and so I was good with that. But having Zion is just it's a bonus, and I get it. Let me apologize to all those parents out there in the past before I had kids that posted 1,000 pictures on your Facebook and Instagram with your kids and my child cute, blah blah blah. I used to hate that. I'm like, why? Like, why? Yes, you have a kid. Congratulations, you've done what millions of other people have done. Congratulations. Do you want a cookie for procreating?
He's evil.
So,
people don't know he's evil. Deep down inside, he's evil and sarcastic.
I get it now, though. I get it. I apologize. I get it. That's when you see somebody who looks like you, like, and it's crazy because God even kind of gave me a sign. Okay, like, not I owed you this, but here you go. Like, my smallest thing. Number one, Zion's like Ebony because when Ebony sneezes, she's a multiple sneezer. Zion already, from day one, when she sneezes, like 3 or 4 back to back. And so I'm like, okay, that's Ebony. And then for me, the little thing God gave me, God is in the details. So the little thing He gave me, my nostrils are not the same shape.
I can't believe you sharing this with y'all.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if people say
Go ahead.
But one is round and one is a little longer.
Now they're gonna be looking at your nose.
Yeah, they're gonna go back and look at all my pictures. And so Zion, if you go back and look at the pictures we posted, that you can see her nostrils. One is round and one is oval. Like the same nostrils. I said, okay. I said, God, that's a good one.
And she has his cheeks. Her fat. Oh, yeah, I love those cheeks.
She definitely.
That's my honey bear. But and I'll say this too, which when we first started, and I will admit, everybody, some of my friends used to tease me and call me 19 kids and counting because I did have 4 kids and then marrying somebody that doesn't have kids. So I automatically went into it thinking, you about to knock this out. I'm gonna get pregnant immediately. Life is going to be good. We're going to be done. It didn't happen like that. And when it didn't happen like that for me, and mind you, when I got divorced, after I was divorced, I wasn't on birth control. So I knew I wasn't, certain things whatever. I wasn't on birth control. So I'm like, there should be no reason why I cannot get knocked up instantly. And to have to wait to get pregnant, that bothered me. And I know somebody's like, that's crazy. No, that messed with me because I'm like, okay, I have children. My first 2 daughters are 14 months apart. The 2 other ones are 6 years apart, but whatever. But still, I know I have the ability to have kids. And when it didn't happen immediately, it messed with me. It played on my mind. Almost every month when I got my period, my menstrual cycle, to be politically correct, it bothered me a little bit because I'm like, what's wrong? Why am I not getting pregnant? I never shared it with Carl. I never told him because I didn't want him to think, because we was taking all the proper steps to make children. So,
taking all the proper steps.
We was taking all the proper steps to make children, let me tell you. But I'm like, what is wrong with me? And, I would talk to my girlfriends, and they're like, Ebony, it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen. And I'm like, well, why is it not happening now? And they're like, it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen. Just calm down and relax. So I remember it was probably around November, December time when I was laying in the bed. And I'm like many of us, I have my silent prayer time to God. But I told him in my mind, I said, okay, God, if it's not meant for me to have a kid, I'm okay. Just make him okay. And I will let me backtrack a little bit. Even with our marriage counseling, our bishop talked to us, and he had asked Carl, do you want to have a child? Do you want someone on this earth that looks like you? Because I know from talking to Carl and a few other people that Carl has shared his testimony and story with, miscarriage is a traumatic experience. And we've had friends that have had miscarriages, and it's a lot. So I know people always give a lot of, I love you, girl, to your girlfriend or to the woman, but a lot of people don't consider the man. And I'm sure that it affects, and I know it affects a man because I'm married to a man that's had to deal with it. So it was a lot, and it was something that he probably didn't even want to talk about, and he didn't want to deal with. I would ask him sometimes, and even dealing with his answer kind of would frustrate me because he was so nonchalant about it. But I knew he was hurt, and I knew he didn't want to get his hopes up about it. So in order to control the situation, it would just be a passive, oh, we're good, we're okay, we're going to try, ha, 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 make a little joke about, tonight we're going to knock it out the park, whatever, to get, over it. But it bothered me. But I told God, okay, God, if it's going to happen, I'm good with it. If it's not, give me peace, but give him peace and comfort that he needs, because I want him to have a child. I want him to have a baby. I want him to have a little person on this earth that looks like him. So that was my prayer. That's always been my prayer. When we transitioned over, of course, to the new year, there was nothing happened yet still. So I was just like, okay, well, keep it moving. So I'll let you talk about when you found out, or how you want to talk about your story about when you found out that I was pregnant. You don't mind. I'll tell it.
No, it wasn't even like, I'm telling you, man, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't have normal feelings like like other people. I'm serious. I don't have normal feelings. Even when I found out Evan was pregnant, it was one of those. First of all, she started videotaping me. I'm like,
I did not start videotaping him.
Whenever somebody hands you something and they pull out a cell phone,
first of all, I didn't do it like that.
Either two things are about to happen. You either about to get world star, or they trying to catch you crying. And so I'm like, okay, I know she ain't trying to world star me. And so I'm like, okay,
y'all ain't ready. I'm crazy. I will knock you out.
Yeah, I'm crazier than you. Anyway, so I'm like, she trying to catch me crying. So I said, okay, she must be pregnant. I'm looking at it. And so it was, she put the pregnancy test in a frame. Okay,
this one small disclaimer. That day for both of us.
Stressful day.
It was a horrible, when I tell you it was a horrible day.
Stressful day.
That was probably one of the worst days. And we don't have too many worst days as a couple, because how you see us, we pretty chill. That's us all the time. That was one of the worst days, I would say, of our relationship.
No, we're good. Like, we're good.
We're good.
It's just when you introduce third party into outside, like
it was one of the. Yeah. It was a horrible day.
Yeah.
And so I'll set it up. So that day, a few weeks before, I was like, oh, I feel weird. Like, I just knew. I was like, something's off with me. Yeah, I know I'm a little touched in the head, but something else was off with me. So I was like, something else was off. Something else was off. And I'm like, I don't want to, and I just had this urgency. Like, I don't want to go another day feeling like this. And it's weird because you hear women talking about, oh, when I was pregnant, I knew. With my other 4 children, I did not know. I did not know. But with Zion, I was like, something is wrong. Something is off. I do not feel the same. And I was like, I cannot wait another day or go another day without figuring out what is wrong with me. And I remember I went to work that day and I was calling even because, like I told you, I have an hour and 20 minutes to get to work. So I called both of my doctors. I called my OB and my normal general practice doctor. My OB couldn't get me in because she is one of the best OBs and she's always jam-packed. But my primary doctor was like, just come on in. So I was like, okay, I'm in there taking my test. And she was like, so she's even prepping me because I'm like, I don't know what's wrong. I was like, I think I might be pregnant, but I don't know. And I'm not trying to get my hopes up, So I went in there and she, of course, you do the sample. So she's kind of like preparing me, even though I've had children before, but she's even preparing me like, okay, Miss Butler, just in case you're not pregnant, I'm going to have first of all, she wasn't going to read me the results. The nurse was going to come in and tell me. And then once the nurse came in, then the doctor was going to come back in and tell me. So, she's prepping me and telling me, yada, 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 what they tell you to make you feel comforted and reassured. So as she's walking to leave out the room to go get the results, the nurse is coming in. And the nurse, I remember, she was standing there and she handed her the results and was like, oh, wow. Like, oh. And the way she first said it, I was like, oh, God, okay. I'm not pregnant. I'm wasting this $35 copay. What else is wrong with me now? Do I got the flu? Whatever. And the doctor just sat down calmly and was like, Mrs. Butler, congratulations. You're pregnant. And I just stood there. I just sat there like, and I didn't cry. I just said, thank you, Jesus, for this promise. And that's all I could think of. Like, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for keeping this promise. And she even told me, she was like, oh, they went real quick, did everything. She's like, oh, you're 4 weeks pregnant. And I was like, oh my God, like, oh, wow.